welcome back, everybody. It's time for our health chat here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Now, so often, we hear and we talk about mental health when it comes to adults, but a rising area of focus is mental health in children and also the toll that the pandemic as well as social media can take on them. Now, joining us this morning to unpack this very, very important topic is Dean McCowbury, the founder of My Social Life, who ultimately focuses on educating schools, parents, and psychologists on how to unlock solutions when it comes to supporting our youth. Dean, so nice to have you with us this morning. In sync.
Right, in sync. Because, Dean, the work that you've been doing in the youth space has been absolutely incredible. But to be able to connect all of these worlds, the schools, the parents, the psychologists, and bring them all together has been quite incredible. But we know that for us adults, the last 2 years have been a nightmare, to say the least. I mean, we've all gone through some sort of stress at some level. But what has the impact been on young people as a result of our own stress and the stress of the world?
Exactly. I mean, it's an amazing question. It's been a really interesting one because we've surveyed in schools, a number of different schools, and we offer 8 different lessons in schools, and they are privacy, how to set up your device, cybersecurity, what type of hacks are there, how do you protect your reputation, what's the influence of social media on sexuality in terms of how you see yourself and so on. And the number 1 lesson that they asked for was mental health at 31%. The number 2 was focus. So it's around the influence of what's happening online. Now, if we're not seeing each other personally, because we have a number of muscles in our face, 43 muscles in our face, 600 muscles in our body, if I can't see the way in which you move, if I can't feel that energy of who you are, we're stuck very much in our minds, scrolling, just going round and round. And it depends what we put in there. And what's filling that mind is the way we start to look at the world, the way in which we start to look at ourselves. So it's quite interesting because the whole thing is quite invisible. It's quite difficult for us to detect how we're filling up our minds during this time. Exactly. Unless we stop and we say, I'm having a really sucky day. I feel really, really bad. And you can look and you can see in my face that there's something going on for me. You can say, are you cool? Are you okay? We can do it on text. But it's not quite the same. It's a different release.
But here's the thing, social media has become such a part of our lives. And I mean, it's here to stay now. This is the digital world that we're in now. But it's been around for 20 years. But now we're seeing this effect on the younger kids and on their mental health because people are starting to do doom scrolling, which has become a thing now. So maybe you can elaborate what doom scrolling is and how it's affecting youngsters' mental health as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to understand that, as you said brilliantly, is that this is not going away. In fact, it's only going to increase. We know that screen time's increasing for teens at about an extra 1 hour per year. So if it was 3 hours last year, it's 4 hours this year. And in that amount of time, there's a lot of exciting, entertaining, interesting, thrilling, scary information. But the problem is there are certain rewards that we get in our mind from certain types of activity online. So we might get dopamine, which is a reward chemical when someone likes. But also, to some degree, when we see things that are a little scary, then there's also a sense of adrenaline. There might be a bit of rush. Or there could be stress when we see things, so that we have some worry to hold on to, where we get a bit of cortisol in our system. Stress gives you cortisol. Now, even though we don't necessarily want stress, there's still a physical reward inside our bodies. So that's why sometimes people can say, they're such a drama queen. And you say, why are they such a drama queen? Why are they so addicted to worry? Well, it's still stimulation inside your body. And I think that's what's important. So remember, if we're looking at things, we have a lot to share if we see negative stuff. So doom scrolling is almost looking for the story so that you've got something to talk about, so you've got something to worry about. There's a whole invisible system there that keeps us glued.
But we see it, right? I mean, if you've seen a car accident, for example, that's trending on social media with people's heads, off the highway, the number of times that sort of thing gets shared and people look at it and want to share it further tells you exactly what you're saying, is that there is a response that is physical and maybe mental too that we give off.
Absolutely. And there's a curiosity in humans. We like to look through the window at things that are happening in other people's lives. And it's not just negative. I've got to say that there are so many apps, there are so many platforms that are exciting, that do expand our minds, that we do, you can look at TikTok. I've seen some of the most insane talent. It's like Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent or South Africa's Got Talent. You look and you can see, I've never seen such amazing talent on some of these apps. The challenge is it good for you what you're seeing? Do you have choice over what you're scrolling through and whether it's, can you even identify with how it makes you feel? For example, if you have self-esteem issues for whatever reason of whatever's going on in your life and you're looking at stuff that doesn't make you feel good about your own body, then you have to try and redirect your choices to other content, because the algorithm, the engine of social media, is going to send you more of it. So you're going to get more and more and more, and you're going to slide down the rabbit hole.
Wow. A lot to unpack. I think as a parent, this is worrying, this is scary as well, but there is also a positive side to social media, and we're going to unpack that in just a little bit. But if you do have any questions for Dean McCowbury, head on over to our social media, Expresso Morning Show on S3. We'll answer them very shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. Yes, it is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso Live here on S3. On this beautiful Tuesday morning, we're navigating life as we've known it. And social media certainly has changed the way that we view life and the way that we, I suppose, get along with life. And Dean from My Social Life is here to help us unpack the impact of social media over the last couple of years on especially our young people. And it's been quite interesting to get into this conversation because it's not just young people that are affected. The adults are affected first, but they've got to be able to, I suppose, raise themselves before they raise their young people and sort of guide them into the space, right?
Absolutely. I suppose if we are the mentors of our kids, then essentially the values in which we are sharing with them or placing inside their own value system will be something that will then shape their perspective. So what we instill in them is essentially going to shape their outlook. So it's so important what we instill. And we need to check ourselves at the door about things that may have happened in our own lives, perhaps our own trauma or our own baggage, so that we don't necessarily kind of go too hard in those areas. We get a chance to almost course correct some of the things that have happened to us and then redirect our energy through our kids. But we have to know what that is. Like, it really is important. You have to kind of go, let me think about like some of the things that I really want to happen for my children, but actually things that I can overreact sometimes. Yeah. And we do overreact because we're parents. When you really love somebody deeply, it can create the greatest reactions. But actually what we want to do is to be able to self-regulate those reactions and work out what's our next choice, which is exactly what we teach kids. It's how do you self-regulate? How do you choose your next action?
For sure. But as a parent, it is scary because you're looking at them and you're like, my child is literally on the phone now. What are they exposed to? Because you can't control that. You can control them maybe in your house space, but they still go out into the big world and they have a phone and they have, all these social media platforms. And I mean, as a dad of 3 young girls, you understand this. But what are the signs that we need to be looking out for in our kids to know that they're on a good mental state path and that we can see that, hey, that's a trigger. Now this is where I need to intervene.
I think a lot of social media or health educators make it sound as though it would be easy, even when I mention these things. The difficulty with teens is that they're naturally they can be quite closed off, and preteens, because it's just the nature of the way in which there's suddenly a bit of a divide between parents and kids. But ideally what you're looking for is you're looking for a change in behavior. So that could be around sleep, academics, interests, relationships. Are they aggressive towards, perhaps you or towards their siblings? Unnecessarily extra aggressive? Because that's what I'm saying is, it's a volatile time. Our bodies are going absolutely crazy hormonally. And so what we need to do is to start to look and go, there's something that's just not right. And intuitively as their parents, we do feel it, but sometimes we tune it out because we have our own stress. Perhaps we're tired. Perhaps we're lost in our own phones, and our own behaviors. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is you have to make time, and really listen and really observe, because when a child reaches out for help, they will need time. They will need to make sure that you're not judging them so that you can then move into the support phase of what do I need to do next? A lot of people say to me, oh, well, I don't understand social media and gaming. I'm like, I promise you, Google will help you.
Yeah.
Google will help you with everything. Just type the words parent review plus TikTok. Or if you're really not sure and you want to educate yourself, and this is probably my golden tip of the day, is go to google.com/alerts. I'm going to say it again, google.com/alerts, and type in social media plus parents. And every day it will send you a collated little list of the things that you need to know around the latest apps, the latest risks, and so on.
Dean, before we let you go, please, because we could spend all day, and I love your conversation, it's fantastic. Let's leave parents with one tip how to support their young ones around social media, cyberbullying, sexual abuses, or any sort of insecurities. How to support them?
So I think the real key is to be actively involved, to make sure that when they're buying an app, you know what the app is. If they are under the age of 16, that you can still have the conversation about what are they looking at, what are they seeing, and to then take the time to be able to, now that you know what app they're using or what game they're using, to actually research it so that you know what the risks are. If you don't know what they're playing, and then you don't know what the risks are, then you won't be able to help them. You are lost in nowhere land.
You know what my other top tip would be is get Dean's cell phone number. So when every time you have a concern, Dean, my child is too much on the phone. What do I do? What do I do?
You wouldn't believe the calls that I get. Seriously.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Well, listen, I've got a 9-year-old, so I'm about to give you calls now that I know that you are around for us to get in touch with you. But of course, that's Dean here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We'll be back with part 3 of our chat. Dean McCoubry from the My Social Life, helping us navigate social media. We're answering your burning questions. Of course, those are coming through on Expresso Morning Show, SABC3. Please get those through so we can ask Dean while he's here, because we're not going to give you his number.
We are. Maybe we are.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show on S3. Now, we know mental health has been playing a huge role in adults, but also in kids, and the impact of social media is also playing such a huge role. Now, Dean McCoubry, founder of My Social Life, is here to unpack this very important topic, and we did ask if you have any questions. If you're a parent trying to navigate your way through the space, then you should please ask it on our social media platforms, and of course, you guys came through with all of those questions. So let's see what some of you guys had to say.
Oh, yes. Well, look, there's been lots of questions, but here's one for you, Dean, from Theodora Puselezo, who says, my question is, how can one discipline a 10-year-old to stay away from her social media, especially TikTok? I have my niece who is not focusing anymore because of the social media thing. She really has lost focus on schoolwork and other activities like chores in the house. Hashtag Expresso Show, hashtag Expresso Family. Sounds very familiar.
So familiar.
With teens, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, please don't think that you're alone in this. This is a very common thing. I think the difficulty is, for example, is that TikTok is actually, ideally, you're looking to be on TikTok from 13 onwards. So that's one of the challenges, is now that the horse has bolted, what are you going to do? I think the thing about TikTok is that there needs to be some type of time limit set. So you're going to need to use some type of screen monitoring tool like Screen Time or Custodio. There's many of them. And then what you want to do is to set a limit on that amount of time so that your child can self-regulate and say, well, I'll take 20 minutes now, I'll take 20 minutes after lunch, and I'll take 20 minutes later. It sounds very boring, but those are the exact challenges that we see, is that you lose interest in everything else because TikTok is so exciting and so incredible. So, but what you can also do is provide rewards for when you do your schoolwork, your chores, cleaning your room and so on. So dangle the carrot right in front of them, but you're going to need to assume control. Very important. You know, we don't want to be like cracking the whip on our kids because they're then going to hate you for it. So it mustn't be a battleground. What you want to do is you want to say, sit them down and try and say, look, we need to have some type of agreement here because things are not going in the right direction and there's a bit of a friction and so on. How much time do you think that we should have? Then you say how much time you, as a parent, suggest.
They're part of the solution.
Sit them down, have the discussion, set the time, use the monitoring tool, give them lots of rewards. Show them there's a reward for doing great stuff.
I know we need to wrap up right now, but I don't also want to end off on this negative note where social media is all bad, because I see social media and for me per se, my son's grandparents are from Scotland, so I eventually would want him to have a social media account to connect with his nana. And I mean, that's the beauty of social media. You can connect with anyone all over the world. So what positive note have you also seen social media play in youngsters' lives and also on their mental health as well? Let's end off on a positive note.
100%. You know, the world is a beautiful place. And what we need to do is realize, you know, we are sitting at a fork in the road about what we look at. So what we want to do is find out what your kids' interests are. What do they love? Who are the influences in the area of like really positive areas? Could be exercise, it could be mindfulness, it could be dancing, it could be music. Let's find those and make sure that we spend a lot of time on those so that they can actually dial up their talents and their interests. If, like some of the most successful and famous people in the world have put in 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours of time, why don't we start early? So we teach kids how to use LinkedIn for students. We teach them how to build their own websites, how to build their personal brands on social media, how to build micro businesses so that they can sell. Both my children have their own businesses. One is 13 and the other one is 17.
Wow.
But simply all they do is one sells stickers and the other one sells flares. Fashion, and they sell them on social media.
Beautiful.
Social media is an opportunity.
Yes, it is. And I think that there is really a big opportunity, Dean, what you've said this morning, is for parents to really get involved in helping children highlight their talents, their skills, but also really just show how social media can empower them as opposed to disempower them and I suppose affect their mental health. Dean is available on mysociallife.com for a whole lot more information on what he's talked about this morning. But of course, if there are any mental health challenges with your child, you can go onto sadig.org. Dean, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Always nice to be here.
You rock.